Hello, Namaste, and welcome to 101 Doses of React Native, and this is dose number 3. So, in today's dose, we are going to learn how to create mock API servers. Okay, so you can mock your front end and mobile app with the mock data. After that, we will see how we can integrate APIs using Axios in React Native. We will see how to use useEffect and state hook, and finally, we are going to see how we can pass our data from one component to other component using Expo-Router. So I guess you are excited, and me too. And if you are ready, let's learn. So this is how our app is going to look after integration. Now we are fetching the user from our server, and when we click here, it is showing the data which is coming from our server. Okay, and after completing this, I'm going to give you the task, so we can click here on the user and it will open the user screen where we will show the details of the user. That will be your task. At the end of this video, I'm going to explain more about. So stick to the video till end. Okay guys, so let's start with creating the mock APIs. And to creating mock APIs, I'm going to use JSON-Server. Okay, so this is the easiest one to create few APIs to test. Okay, so let me show you how it works. So let me open the terminal over here, and here let's go to our practice folder, Expo. Let me create this mock server outside Expo. Okay, so cd dot dot to go one step back. Now I will create a folder, and this will be block APIs. Okay, let's keep it mock block APIs. Okay, so it will be easier for us to identify it. Let me open the code editor, and it is pretty simple. We have to create a file. As you can see, the instructions are clearly given. Okay, so we have to create a file named db.json. Okay, so let's create a file db.json. Okay, here we can create some JSON data. Okay, and let's create a object named post. Okay, and it will be an array. So basically, when we are going to serve this post will become a route. Okay, and we can access it with the URL/post, and everything which is available in this array will be displayed. Okay, and if you see our post, where we're kind of the session which is giving, but we will type it out. Okay, so we can understand that what's going on. Okay, and here we can give ID to 1, then we'll have title and some body. So for body, I open the lorem ipsum site, and let me copy some text from here, and that's it. And let's create few posts. Okay, so I'll press Ctrl Shift D to duplicate these posts, and I will change the post title. Okay, let's keep it 5 for now, and we can also create a user. So let's say this is created by user ID 1. Okay, so let's give some user ID to few users. Okay, let's give it user ID number 2, and our app will have only 3 users. Okay, so yeah, we can create more, but let's try to keep it simple for now. Okay, and after this, we will give a comma over here and we will create a new array with users. Okay, and it will have, here we are getting some suggestions. We can use that as well, but I want user ID equals to 1, username equals to user1. No worries. Okay, and user will also have a profile pic. So I will say img image to path. Okay, I hope there is the correct image which can be open. Okay, this will also work, or let's use the lorem avatar. This, I think it will give us some good user randomly. We also have image IDs over here. So we can use these image ID like this, image equals to 3. Let's use it with the image ID. Okay. So I guess there should be 1 and 2 and 3. So let's use that 1 and then 2, 2. So this is done. And now if I open a terminal, say npx JSON-server and db.json. Okay. And now you can see that our server is running on this URL and these are the endpoints. So let's quickly click on this. Here we go. You can see our API is displaying the data, and if here I can use users, I can see the user. Okay. So user could have more properties and we can add that later, because the homework which I gave you will have some more data required to show that screen. Okay. I don't know if you remember. Let me quickly show you that. So basically user will have image, username, a bio with few links. Okay. So I will like to give you the opportunity to add this data to the user array. Okay, so you can go over here and you can add your own key with the value. Okay, and these links. So just try to think that how you can add this data to the user. Okay, so now our server is running. Now let's go to our mobile application, okay, which is Expo, and I guess first app, because there are many first over here. So I guess this our project which we are doing yesterday. So let me open this in code app, and I guess this is the one which we are working on. Okay, and quickly run this. So I will run it from the terminal provided by VS Code. So I will say npm run start. Okay, it's going to start the bundler and it's going to show you this QR code. If you want to run your app on your mobile phone, you can install Expo Go app and scan this QR code, and that app will be open your phone. Just remember that your computer on which you are coding and running this and your app is on the same network. Okay, so with that, if I press A, so there is some problem opening the Android emulator, so I will do it manually. I think I will keep it here and let's open. Emulator is open now. Let me minimize the mock server code editor We don't want to mock anything now. Okay, so now I will open the Expo-Go app. So if this is not working, then what we can do is we can quickly copy this and paste it over here. Connect. Here we go. It is connecting now. Okay. Because we want to fetch some data from our APIs, which we just created. Okay. And to fetch that data or fetch any data from APIs, we can use fetch, which is provided by JavaScript, or we can use Axios. Okay. So Axios is a package available on npm. So what I will do npm I Axios. So Axios is installed. Okay. Now here in the src directory, what we are going to do is create an folder called APIs. Okay. So right now we are using our mock server APIs. Maybe later we need some other third parties APIs to bring in, so we can use that. And that's why I created this API folder. And here I will create a file called main api.js. Okay. And here I can import Axios from Axios. Let's do like const instance for Axio create, and it will take base URL. So here it is showing this, but we want to use localhost. Okay. So I will just replace this with localhost. After that, we will have headers, and header could be this. And I think it is timeout. Let's keep it 1000. And now we can export default instance. So now our API instance is created, and we can use this instance in our app anywhere to do the CURD operation like get, post, update, delete. Okay. So now our instance is ready. So let's see how we can use it. Okay. So let's go to our home screen, and here we can see that we have our header component. After that, we also have cards. Okay. So I will remove these extra two cards. So as we talk about props always take data from the parent component. Okay. And if we see here, let me here. So basically, this is our home screen. Okay. And home screen have two components. One is header and another one is card. So always remember the props are flow from parent to child. That's why the data which we need to fetch is in the home screen. So whatever the data we are going to fetch here, we are going to pass it down to the card. Okay. And that card will going to show that data as per the design. Okay. So first we need to import our instance. So I will say import instance from main API. Okay. And here how we are going to use it, we need to understand about hooks. Okay. So React provide different hooks to manage the state, to manage the side effects, and fetching the data from a server is a side effect. Okay, we send the request to the server, and it takes some time to get the data back from the server. That's why we need to use useEffect. What useEffect will do, it's going to run the get request at the time of rendering this component. Okay, and once that data is received, it's going to re-render this component to show that data. Okay, because initially we will not have any data, we will send the request and we will receive the request. So at that time, once we receive the request, at that time we want to show that data. So let me show you how useEffect works, and I will try to explain you while writing the code. So we will say use effect, and it will be imported from React. I will push it at the top. Okay, I will just give a space so we can differentiate between components and other imports. So useEffect takes an callback function, okay, and it have a dependency. Okay, so we will talk about dependency. So there are two rules. If you don't use this, it will re-render. It will run after each and every time this renders. Okay, and if we give the dependency, this will render. After that, useEffect will run, and next time it will only run if there is any changes in the dependency. And we also have a cleanup function which comes with this, but right now it is not in our use. That's why I'm not going to explain you that, but definitely in our later videos when we will build some complex application, at that time I'm going to explain you the cleanup function as well. Okay, so now let's try to run our instance and try to fetch the data from our mock server. Okay, and for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say instance.get. So here we have to pass from where we have to get the data. Okay, and let's quickly open our server. Okay, and here we have two endpoints. One is post and one is the user. Okay, so let's try to import from post. Okay, so here we have to give /post. Okay, and because there's a promise, that's why we are going to use dot then, and again it will take a callback, and I will do console.log res.data. Okay, so in the callback we will get our data in res, and we are going to give .data because Axios provide our data inside the data object. And after that, we will also catch some error. So I will say catch. In case of any errors, we will console.log error. Okay. And now let's save this. And here you can see we are getting some network issues. So what is the problem over here is right now we are running our app on the local host, right? Sorry, we are running our app on the emulator, and here just close this and go here, try to open localhost colon 3000. It's going to refuse the connection because localhost is not available on emulator. Okay, and that is why we have to do something so we can host our local server on the internet, because internet is available over here. If I want to open some website, Ngrok, you can see It is opening. And to make our local URL available on internet, we can use Ngrok. Okay. So let's go to the Ngrok website quickly. Here, ngrok.com. Okay. You can sign up and it's going to give you a API key. Then you have to install it on your system, maybe Mac, Linux, or Windows. And then once you install that, you do ngrok config, add auth, and whatever the token you will get on the dashboard after sign up. After that, as you can see over here, I'm going to open a new terminal for this, and I will say ngrok and http // localhost 3000. Okay. And once I enter this, it's going to give us a forwarding URL. And here we go. So I will just copy this. And now I will minimize this. I will keep that running. I should not stop that. Once that is stopped, our connection will be lost. Okay. And I will go to our instance. Here, I will replace this with the URL which is given. And now if I save this and go back to the emulator, let's try to run this. Here we go. Okay, our data is fetched and now we are able to see the data. It's not properly formatted, but this is our data because you can see the body and ID, title, so everything is there. Okay, so always remember, if you're running some local server and try to connecting your native application with that local server, it's not going to work and you have to use something like Ngrok. Okay, so we receive the data, but how we can use that, how we can pass that to our component like card. Okay, and for that what we can do is we can use a different hook for that. Okay, because we cannot use a let data and then I can just go here and say data equals to res.data. It's not going to happen. Okay, because after each render this variable will be clear and it's not going to show any of the data which is stored in the variable. Okay, and that's why we have to use a useState hook. Okay, so useState, it is also provided by React, because as I told you, if you remember, React provides us state, right? Props. So this, to manage the state of the component, we have to use useState. So basically useState is used to maintain and manage the component level state. Okay, so this is our component, and to manage the state of this component we can use useState. Now the useState provides us two methods, so and you can name it anything you like. Okay, but it's always good to mention something which is understandable. So as we are getting some post, I will say post. Okay, and then set post. Okay, so post will always have the current state of data. Okay, so currently useState have a blank array. When we will do console log dot, suppose I do a console log over here, log posts. Okay, and if I save this, you can see it logged a blank array. Okay, so it will always have the current state and you can reuse this multiple times in your component, or you can pass it as a prop as well. Okay, and then we have set post. And what is set post? Whenever we are getting some new data and we want to update our useState, we can use set state to update our useState and provide it the new data. Okay, so what we can do here is we can put it into the parentheses and I will say set post data. Okay. And now if I save this, so we will do the console.log over here. And now let's save this. Here we go. So we get our data. Okay. Now where we are going to use this post. So basically what we have to do is pass this data to the cards. Okay. But is this the data for one card? No. It's have the data of all the cards data we have on the server. Okay. So there could be new post as well in future. And that's why we have to use a list. Okay. Where we are going to list down our cards and show the data which is coming from the server. And React Native provide us with that kind of list, which is called Flatlist. Okay, so we have to import it from React Native Flatlist. Okay, and Flatlist take data. So whatever the data we have to pass it here, and we have our data into post, right? After that, we have key extractor. So basically, whenever we are rendering a list, it needs key for each item. So it can identify that item with that. So it will be helpful whenever it needs to remove that or update that item, it can recognize it with that key. And that's why we need key extract. Okay. And if you use map in React, so you remember that we have to provide the key in the component as a prop, right? So here we use key extractor, which takes the key from the item available. Okay. And it will be item.id, and we are updating it to the string. After that, we have to render our item. Okay. And that item is our card. Correct. So basically, it's going to provide a callback, and here we'll get the item in a prop. So we have to do item. So what I'm doing is I'm destructuring that using these curly braces. So we will just get the plain data which we need. Okay, and we can do return, and here I can use card. Okay, and now we need to make our card reusable, because right now we are not accepting any props, and we are just passing some static data, right? So let's open this and quickly check what we have over here. In the post, we have title, we have user ID and body. Okay, so we have here, you can see we have now 1 2 3 4 5 6. So we have 6 cards because we have created 6 posts over here. And I forgot to mention over here. So let's start this with 0. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So starting from 0 to 5 is total 6. Okay. And because we are not passing this item to the card, it is repeating it itself 6 times. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this card. We don't need that. Let's pass this as a data equals to item. Okay. And let's accept this data inside card as props. So we can do arrow props, and in each section we can do props dot, or we can destructure the data from there. Okay. And here now we can pass, here we need data dot body. Okay, now you can see that body is completely changed. So we pass the data and it is showing perfectly. Okay, but still we didn't fetch the user data, and that's why we'll not able to show the user data. So let's go back quickly over here and let's repeat this process again. Okay, for the user. So I will say and use users and set users. Okay, next I will duplicate this because we also want to fetch the users. Okay, now once this is fetched, we will set the users and then we will get our users over here and we will pass it as user equals to user. But now what will happen? All the users will be sent to this, okay, where each card just need the user whose data is belong to that particular card, right? So we have user ID over here. So what we can do here, we can say const user equals to, so here it is giving the suggestion. So we will say users, which is received from here, dot find. We'll get the user dot ID. So basically the user ID, let's see here, user ID is matching the user ID of the post. So I will just copy this item dot user ID. Okay, so AI is really intelligent and it automatically guess that what could be the user ID. So basically we are getting this user ID and matching this, and we will get the user and we will pass this user here. Okay, and once we pass this user, we can get our user from here and we can pass that as a prop to user details. And if I click to user details, again here I will destructure the prop, and here we can use the username over here. So let's test this first. Okay, if there is any error. Oh, okay, so my bad. We have to do user dot name over here. Let's save this. Again, name property is not there. Let's give a question mark over here, and we are getting the our users over here, right? User 1, user 2, then again user 1. Let's give the image as well. So again in avatar we are going to pass, we are going to create a prop which is image equals to user dot img. Okay, and let's copy this prop, go to avatar component. Here it is sending it as a prop, so let's accept it as a prop as well. And rather than using this, we can say props.image. Let's save this. Here we go. Beautiful. So now we get the avatar images as well. Okay, and that is really looking cool now. So we have one problem that we are not able to show anything over here, right? Because we are not passing any prop from the header side. So what we can do is I will just do this, and we will do crop dot image, and so in case the image is available, then it will show this image. If this image is not available, this will be used as a default image. Okay, let's save this, and now you can see that that image is back. Okay, so I forgot to give this operator, that's why it was showing the error. So this operator means that if user have the image data for dot image, then it's going to use this, otherwise it will not going to pass that. Okay, so it's better to use question mark, so it will not throw an error. Okay, now if I click here, we can see the data, which is the dummy data from the component. We want to show the actual post from here, and right now showing the entire post here. Okay, and to show few lines of this post, what we can do is I can go back to the cards. So what we can do here, we can say number of lines, and we can say 2, suppose. So it's just going to show you 2 lines from that post. I think let's take 3, 4. Okay, this is good enough. Okay, now when user is clicking over this, we have to pass this data to this screen, right? And we want this screen to show the data. So now we are just showing the 4 lines. Okay, and what we want, that when the user click over here, we want to show that username, image, blog title, and the complete blog lines, complete data here, right? And we know that the blog screen where we are showing this data, blog screen here, it is not the child component of cards, right? So how we can pass the data? Okay, so let me show you how we can do that. Okay, now there is one connection between card and the blog screen, which is through the router, because when user is pressing this card, we are sending our user to the blog screen. So what we can do is we can pass our data through the router.pull. Okay, and for that, what we have to do is we have to put it into curly braces, and we have to give path name. Okay, and once we give the path name, we can also pass params, and in params body, or I will say content, it will be data dot body, right? Just put a question mark over here. This, and for user, it will need the image. I can say user dot img, and user will have a name, and so we'll say user dot name. Okay, and let's put the operator over here. So initially it should not show some error to us, right? Okay, let's close this over here because we want to test it. let's go to our log screen, and here we can fetch it using a hook again, and this time this hook is provided by Expo-Router, and the hook name is use local search params. Okay, and we will get the params from this hook. Okay, let's deconstruct it. From the params, and what we are passing? We're passing content, IMG, and name. Okay, so I will say content or okay. So now let's comment this, and here I will give content. Let's save this. Let's try it, and here we go. Our content is showing. Okay. Now we also want to pass our image and name. So let's do that quickly. So we have to do it here. Image and name. Okay, and I think we already set these props as user. So what I can do is let's create a object over here. Const user equals to image and name. Okay, so I will pass this user equals to user. Yes, here we go. Because this is already set and it is having the name and IMG, that's why it successfully shown us the username as well. Okay, so it's cool. Now let's close this. Let's try for user 3. User 3 have just one post, and here we go. User 3, close it. User 1, user 2. Awesome. So what we have done today? Okay, first we learned how to create a mockup server quickly using JSON server. Okay, so here npx JSON server, and we just have to create a db.json and create our data as I shown you today, and it will automatically create those as route, and on this route we can fetch our data. So there's one. Second, we installed Axios and create an instance. Okay, in API folder here we created a instance. Okay, and then we also get an error fetching the data because localhost was not working. That's why we installed Ngrok, and Ngrok help us forward our local web server to the internet, and then we give that internet server link over here. Okay, and our instance is created successfully. After that, we seen how to fetch our data from the top level from the parent component and pass it down to the child component. Okay, and we also learned how to create a flat list. Okay, here we find our user and pass that as well. We create our card component as reusable component. That's why we are able to see this card multiple times, right, with different data. That is awesome. After that, we also learned how to pass our data from routers using params. Okay, and how to receive it from the other component where our router is taking us to, and we can fetch that data using use local search params Okay, and here we destructure the data from params and use it. Again, we pass that. On home screen, we learn useEffect and useState. Okay, useEffect to fetch our data and useState to maintain the state of our component, right? So that's all for today, guys. I hope today you move forward a step in your React Native learning journey. And if you have any questions, definitely you can post it in the Discord channel. Link it's in the description. And today's task is to create the data on our JSON server and fetch that data for each user. And each user will have its own user card. So you have to create this. And on coming Saturday on 29th, I'm going live. And on that day, I'm going to show you how to design this and how to fetch the data from our JSON server and display that data over here. So you have around 4 to 5 days. So you can try it yourself. And on Saturday, I'm going to show you how you can do that. So stay tuned for the Saturday live. Okay. And if you have any questions, just put it in the Discord server. On that day, I'm going to answer all your questions live. And with that, thank you so much for watching. Keep learning. Take care. See you in the next video.